It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott's home. He's back in the lower Macungie Valley. Mary Jo Foley in Manhattan. We'll talk about 1809. It's ready to ship. At least it looks like it is. A list of the new no-nonsense features. Echo integration comes to Cortana and vice versa. And why, oh why, would Google want Windows on its Chromebooks? It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. Episode 582, recorded Wednesday, August 15th, 2018. Nonsense free. Windows Weekly is brought to you by LastPass. Secure every password-protected entry point to your business. Join over 33,000 businesses and start managing and securing your company's passwords today. Learn more at lastpass.com/twit. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we cover the latest news from Microsoft. He's back, boys and girls. And beware Lower Macungie Valley. Paul Thurrott. Paul Thurrott is back. He's the fifth Beatle. Many people confuse him for Mr. McCartney. He's back in town. When did you get back from Stockholm?
Friday night at roughly midnight.
Oh, wow. But your jet lag's cleared up by now.
I have jet lag all the time, so what's the difference?
Yeah. You're always exhausted, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Paul sounds a little thin today because the cat peed on his sound interface. And that's Mary Jo Foley, who sounds great. She's trained Sriracha not to.
He does other bad things.
Yeah, I know.
I think our cats have an equal level of training.
Evil?
Evilness.
Yeah.
I think so.
Paul Thurrott from Thurrott.com. Mary Jo Foley from ZDNet.com. All about Microsoft.com. And it's a red letter day today. We are celebrating because we have Gold Master. Yes?
Well, no.
I've just made Microsoft mad in more ways than one.
You have.
Yeah,
just say RTM now. Make them really mad.
They bring this on themselves, you know?
What do we have? 1809. Windows 10 1809. Is it cooked?
It's cooking. I think the ingredients are all in the pot. I think that's the milestone that we've probably reached. It's not official because, you know, God forbid they come out and actually admit to something like this. But we've now had 2 weeks in a row where we got new builds with no new features. Given that it's August and this thing's supposed to come out in September, you know, you can kind of read the tea leaves there.
Plus, no new features, plus, what you call it?
It's like all fixes now, right? All fixes, known issues. It's like nothing in the past few builds has been brand new on server or client.
And Paul used a phrase I've never heard before in this context, nonsense free.
Yes, right. Right. I feel like I probably suffer from more angst than most technology enthusiasts, right? Like if you're an Apple guy, you're into the ecosystem you're in. You know, if you're a Google guy, you're kind of in, you know. I think in our community, we have these Windows guys who, you know, they're all on board. You know, everything's good news. Surface Go is awesome. You know, everything's good. And I suffer from more doubts than I think than most people. And I over the past couple of years, I've been really nervous about the direction that Microsoft has taken Windows 10 with the inbox advertising, the inbox crapware that, by the way, has gotten worse in the last couple of releases. And then this addition of like these real nonsense features that don't benefit very many people at all. In fact, they just kind of get, they don't really get in the way, but they're just kind of there. They're just
what's a nonsense feature? What is that?
It's Windows Mixed Reality.
Okay.
You know, it's
nonsense.
It's just stuff that piles on top of the operating system that does, Paint 3D, which is related to Windows Mixed Reality.
Right.
It's not offensive that it exists, right? It's offensive that these things are positioned as like major new features of some release, and that this is something we need to pay attention to. When in fact, This is something no one needs to pay attention to. It benefits a very small percentage of people. There are even things like if you just kind of think about priorities and the way that Microsoft, and because we talk about Microsoft here, decides to add or not add things or whatever. I would point to something like most Surface PCs, all Surface portable PCs, no longer come with Surface Pen. Why is that? These things, this is one of the major features of the platform. It's because so few people use it, right? So it's pragmatic. This is something that is expensive to make and sell. They don't ship it in the system anymore. They've made that decision. I think with hardware, it's a little, maybe it's easier or it's more of a direct decision because you can see the cost of it. But even something that's like productivity focused that I think we could all point to and say it's a good thing for the platform to have, so few people use it, that even Microsoft, the maker of the platform, does not ship Surface Pen with any of its portable computers. It's interesting. In Windows, meanwhile, we've been in pretend mode for a couple of years. The platform still matters. Major new releases are still a thing. We're trying to pretend that it's on par with these mobile platforms that are getting exciting new features with every release. It's in a different place. So Redstone 5, which is the version that I believe is probably feature complete right now, like Redstone 4 before it, which is nice. So for the past year now, 2 releases in a row we've had with not a lot of nonsense. If you look over the list of stuff that's in this release, most of it is pretty small, which is excellent. And almost all of it is productivity or efficiency focused, which is also excellent. This is exactly the kind of thing I had been asking for the previous year and a half, and I'm nervous that
it's too good now. You're nervous. You agree, Mary Jo? This is a good release here.
I think part of what's going on is reflected from what happened with the reorg back in March. That was right around the time they started making Redstone 5, is when Terry Myerson was out. And they, moved the Windows client engineering team to the Azure group so that Windows client and server are now in the same team and they're all underneath Azure in terms of the reporting structure. So I felt like, once that happened and they kind of moved mixed reality off to the side a bit, and they got rid of 3D for everyone, that initiative they had going where Paint 3D was coming out, and they were talking about, making everyone use 3D all the time because it was meant to kind of prop up what was going on with HoloLens and the mixed reality headsets. Once all that kind of separated out, I'm like, you know what? Windows, where Joe Belfiore sits in the org now, it's part of the Microsoft 365 org. So, it's much more business focused and much more kind of thinking about problems that people have who are in larger corporations. So in a way, this doesn't surprise me that this is how Redstone 5 evolved.
Yeah, right. And yeah, we know from the people we talked to at the time of that reorg, which was kind of a seismic shift, that there was other nonsense coming down the pike, and this wasn't always going to be like this. And I had heard from people, who were like, yeah, I was working on this stuff and it's been canceled, and I was told to go somewhere else. And that's interesting. And so, obviously the big kind of the feature that would have been the big feature in this release, sets, is not being included and presumably will be included in a future version of the operating system. That's too bad. I think that's a feature a lot of people would have liked. But it's okay because, one of the things I've been doing over the past, a couple of months, 3 months, whatever, is every 6 weeks I've been kind of listing out like, well, here are the features, over the past X number of weeks with the X number of builds they've released. Here's the stuff they've announced. And I clench up a little bit every Tuesday, every Friday, whatever, when they release new builds. Because there's going to be some major emoji nonsense or some kind of stupid whatever it is. And there's some emoji stuff, but that's fine. Emoji's okay.
So you wrote on August 12th, you wrote 2 or 3 days ago, this kind of summary of, based on the Friday update, Redstone 5. You call it Endgame. And these are the features,
that they had released since the last time I wrote one of these things.
Yeah, 6 weeks, I guess, right?
Yep, yep. Yeah, it's worked out nicely. So I've written 3 of them, and they've all come 6 weeks apart. So this is the third one.
Updating improvements, your phone, Microsoft Edge improvements, Skype for Windows 10 improvements. You should have put that in quotes.
Yeah, it makes you sound like Mickey Mouse.
This is before the show began. The reason Paul sounds so bad is we had some. We still don't know why, and I don't know if it was Skype. It might have been our hardware, but you sounded like a younger Paul Thurrott.
Well, you know how you get older and your voice gets deeper, and
this is before all the booze and cigarettes. Fluent design improvements, file explorer improvements, game bar, display, swift key features in the touch keyboard. We've talked about all this, of course, as they've rolled these things out. Search, mixed reality, notepad.
But there isn't a piece of garbage in the whole list. It's all, and this is just, I left out some of the business focused stuff. I mean, this is all stuff that will impact end users. This is what I want to see. This is, Windows is decades old. It's a mature product line and mature code base, and we're getting into a weird time period because, Microsoft, starting with Windows 8, tried to turn it into this touch-first kind of mobile thing, right? And if you think back to Windows Mobile, the original Windows Mobile, not the one they just killed, but the Windows Mobile 5, Windows Mobile 6, and 6.5, and so forth. What we have today in Windows 10 is actually very similar to that. It's this old thing. They're trying to put lipstick on the pig a little bit, and they're going to pretend it's like this modern thing. We're going to service it like a service. And there's this layer on top. And they do simple things like we're going to have a dark mode in the operating system, but it doesn't impact any of the legacy desktop applications because they're not all in the same system. It is old and new mixed. Remember Windows Mobile 6.5 was this beautiful looking thing, but once you got past the home screen, you needed a little pen to hit all the tiny little dialog box buttons and so forth. That's kind of like where Windows 10 is now. So I think there's some fine tuning that needs to happen. Is that your cat?
Yeah, he's not liking this convo, I don't think.
Yeah,
he's like, hey, I like the nonsense stuff.
He's trying to ring the gong.
I want the ninja cat emoji right now, he's saying.
Yeah, I could do with a lot less ninja cat.
The part we don't really know though about this update. Well, we don't know the name, right? So I've seen some people say it's going to be called the October update, but I wonder if instead they might call it something like 18H2 to kind of go along with what they're doing with, Redstone 6. So we don't know the name. We also don't know a lot of what business features are going to be in there because people keep discovering bits and pieces when new builds come out of enterprise-specific features. And we don't know if any of these are going to make it into Redstone 5 or if they're more Redstone 6 things. Like one that was just found recently is called In Private Desktop. And this is a new security feature that's in some of the builds. It's like, I don't know how you pronounce it, Sandbox IE. Is that how you pronounce that? Or Sandboxy? I don't know. Which is, like a throwaway sandbox for, like a temporary sandbox for running some untrusted software just to see, is it okay? That's in these builds, but is that going to be in Redstone 5? Is that one of the main enterprise features? We don't really know, and they won't talk about it. They're just like, we're not commenting on that. We don't know, how that relates to Windows Defender Application Guard, which is another way for isolating potential malware. So there are things like that keep popping up, and I'm like, I wonder if that's going to be in Redstone 5. And what they did with the past couple of Windows 10 feature releases was they didn't tell us all the things that were going to be in there for enterprises until right when it shipped or after it shipped. They'd give you a whole list at that point. So that's the part I'm like, okay, is it really cooked yet? Like, is everything that is a new feature in there right now, or are some things still going to be pulled out that are in there or held back?
I mean, I don't really have any particular insight into the enterprise business features that are coming in this release or anything like that. But the one thing I do know is that most businesses are not going to deploy this thing right away anyway.
Right.
And so there's maybe more of a need or a want to drum up excitement about this for end users because they are going to be impacted by this within a couple months. Whereas on the business side, documenting this stuff a little bit later in the game maybe isn't a big deal. Right? Although I agree they should do it anyway. But That might just be with the Y on that.
That could be, yeah.
Because you know this better than I do. I mean, there's some moment of time that goes by before they kind of certify this for the whatever the general release channel. I don't even know the names of these things.
Yeah.
Right. So in other words, this version of Windows 10 becomes the default or whatever, but it happens in 3 or 6 months from now.
Yeah, semi-annual channels. So yeah, it usually happens like 4 or 5 months after Windows 10 is released to consumers. So yeah, I mean, there is more time and there's more kind of leeway in this stuff, but still it always makes me wonder when we don't really have a good sense of what's in there for businesses. Like, does that mean it's done or not done? So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They want this to be hazy. On purpose. I don't quite understand why. I don't think it's, 2 weeks ago, or like I said, it was a week ago when they released the first of the 2 sequential builds that had no features. Who does it hurt to say, hey, we believe that this is our feature set for this release? There could be changes. Things happen. We get that.
Yeah, sure.
But we think we've arrived at what this thing is.
Yeah.
I do think they've reached that point, really. I don't understand. We talk about this with every release. They seem to be uninterested in being open about this, for whatever reason. But
yeah,
what
I was thinking?
They don't want to make a commitment that they have.
They don't.
They have to break, right?
Right. And they know we'll hold them to
it's
it,
only
right?
Paul that cares.
No, well, if they said this week this is feature complete, and then next week they said, oh, we have to pull this feature, we'd all be like, hey, they said it was feature complete.
I'll give you an example of how this really screws you up. Is Apple with iOS 12? Remember, they got on stage and they said we're going to have FaceTime for 32 people.
Yep.
And
now they have it for 0 people.
You can't get it working, so they pulled it back. And then then what happens is all the tech press. I don't know if individuals really care, but the tech press goes crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that one's silly because group video chat is kind of a thing.
Well, nobody needs 32 people. Come on. But you're right. I mean, everybody can do 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what Mary Jo said earlier, I think, whether or not it happens, I think is smart, which is you name this thing the way they're going to name the next release, right? Call it 2H18, right? And the reason that's smart is because it satisfies everything we just talked about. It's vague, and yet it still places the release in some kind of a general time frame. One of the embarrassments they had with the previous release was that they released it. Oh, no, they didn't. And then, then they released it again. It came out later than they intended. And I think that was embarrassing for them. They then proceeded to roll it out at a record fast pace somehow too.
I bet, I was thinking about this over the weekend. I bet they're going to try to do the exact opposite with this release, Redstone 5. I think they're going to try to RTM it earlier and
I do too.
Get it. We're calling it 1809 because we think it's going to hit in October. But if they RTM it, like say end of August, and then could actually announce, say, at Ignite, hey, guys, it's done, and we're going to start rolling it out to you next week, like very first week of October. That would look really good for them.
Yeah.
Right?
They could. I mean, I completely agree. In fact, I think they're going to be even more aggressive than that. I think it could roll out before Ignite, or at the very least, say, we are now rolling it out. That could be their, big keynote announcements, whatever. Yeah, and I think that what happened last time, there's a precedent for this. They've done this in the past too. When there's a problem, they kind of try to reverse the bad news cycle there. And I think this one is, we do this every year. I mean, last summer at this time, you could go find the Windows Weekly episode from 52 weeks ago. And then we're talking like this.
Frankly, we should have just taken that and put it in.
Yeah, actually, as far as people know, that's actually, just change the references to the version and with like a robot voice saying the new one.
1809.
So when they released version 1809, anyway, I do feel like this one is going to happen on a faster pace. And I had mentioned this to you. I think I had just come back, or maybe it wasn't even back yet. And I said, I think this thing's wrapping up. And you were like, they still there's all this time. And I'm like, I know, but I just feel like there's a desire in that part of Microsoft to kind of get this one right, and make it, and by right I mean like have it happen on schedule, if not faster.
And the other thing that you have to remember is, so they aligned client and server together when they do new releases like this. And the release of server that's coming this fall is a big one. It's the long-term servicing channel release. So that means it's the on-premises version of Windows Server. They're calling it Windows Server 2019. It's got quite a few new features, and that's actually a really big deal, and they need to make sure that one's right and ready. And if you look at Ignite session list, there are tons of sessions about Server 2019. So I think they would rather RTM this earlier rather than later, and just make sure everything's cooked and done and ready to roll in a good way by the time Ignite comes out.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Kill.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Yeah, we're done.
Oh, I beg to differ, my friend.
I don't know why he's meowing. I fed him. Come on, man.
Yeah, my cat is also chirping away, but I don't think you can hear her because of this.
Very exciting Windows Server 2019, 1809 also closing in.
Yeah, that one I think is big. So what's going to happen is Server 2019 comes out for on-prem. At the same time, 1809, which is the semi-annual channel release of Server, comes out too. So, it's a lot of things for them to roll out all at once. It's like the new on-prem server, the new semi-annual channel server, Windows 10 client, Windows 10 enterprise. I mean, there's a lot going on. They have a lot to do.
We've got languages to get through. We've got things to do. We've got magic to do. I don't know. I'm just singing. I'm just looking at let's see. Yeah. Lots of Patch Tuesday cumulative updates for almost every Win 10 build except 1511.
Yeah, that was interesting. So if you're running any feature release of Windows 10, even the original release, the very first release, everybody get cumulative updates.
You get updates, Tuesday. And you get updates.
Yeah, except 1511. That was the one. I was looking at NeoWin's coverage on this, and they're like, except for that one. That one didn't, but every single other one got a cumulative update with quite a few fixes. Yeah. A lot of things for Spectre and Meltdown and whatever that new variant is.
There's a new one, yeah. There's a new Spectre in town.
There is, yeah. So
I got
a lot going on.
My Surface Go got the update.
Yeah, me too. Yep. Firmware update and an update, right? Yep.
Still loving that Surface Go?
I'm liking it. I've got to do my official review of it. Not happy on the battery life, but I like the size a lot.
I love the size. I wish it were a little faster.
Yeah, a little faster would be good.
Could you make a small device like this and still have it be fast?
Yeah,
it just can't be running Windows.
Oh.
That's the problem. I mean, ideally, this thing is running ARM, and it gets oodles of battery life.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be Windows.
And then the performance isn't there. Yeah, I know it's tough.
Yeah, it is.
God, seriously.
I know. We're both having cat issues today.
Gonna get this kicker away.
The other thing we didn't even talk about is, so while they're doing all this with Redstone 5 and all the cumulative updates on Patch Tuesday, they're also working on what we thought was going to be called Redstone 6, which is 19H1, right? Nice cat picture who has ever drawn right now in our show notes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they're also doing insider testing of the next version of Windows 10 feature update, which is officially called 19H1. And they had a new test build of that out this week as well. Yep. For people who are in Skip Ahead. So if you're not already in Skip Ahead, by the way, and you're a Windows Insider, you're not going to be in it for a while. They've closed it, and they're probably not going to reopen it until they've decided Windows 10 Redstone 5 is done. Okay. But yeah, they're basically catching up feature-wise with everything that's in Redstone 5 and putting that into 19H1. The only one thing that's dark theme for File Explorer is not in there, but like everything else is, I think, that's in Redstone 5 now is in 19H1.
You know what? Really, it would be nice though. If I just feel like if the store had a shopping cart
Everyone wants that.
Everybody wants that, you know. I just want
somebody
to
asked me
pile
about
things
this.
in my cart.
Yeah, they said, is this new? And I said, no, I don't think so. I think they added it when, they added hardware sales to the store.
Oh, that's why. It's because you could shop Surface.
But what is new is the shopping cart applies to digital sales now, too. So they kind of, all right, seriously, excuse me 1 second.
It's
You got to
weekly.
not.
Oh, my God, the way he threw that cat.
Ew.
Reminds me of Kevin
It's
Rose
worse
and
than
the
you think.
raccoon.
There's actually a well right next to me. They really do land on their feet. I'll wait for that thing to come back. What's going on here?
No wonder they hate you.
So they've the Windows the Microsoft Store has become a store. It's like that.
But it doesn't make
1998
sense when you're buying digital things to have a cart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, there must be some psychology to it, like you'll keep shopping.
Oh,
If you have to kind of buy something and conclude,
yeah, maybe you're right.
you might be done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's why the Microsoft Store has been such a failure. That it was the cart.
They needed a cart. All they needed was a
But
cart.
now it's all going to change.
Xbox Store and Windows Store both getting carts.
Yeah.
Is it the same cart for both stores?
Could you move the cart between the
The
stores?
one
Yeah,
in the
like, could
Xbox
you
Store
move
has a
your cart
wobbly
over?
right
Is the
front
cart
wheel.
tied to your
so
Microsoft
it's not-
account? Maybe. Does it sync across the cloud? We don't know anyone who buys enough stuff to ever find out the truth of that. I don't know. This cat is insatiable. Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, she's knocking down a lamp. And I can't stress enough how
She's
badly
mad
it
at
is.
you. This is what cats do. If
They
you
do.
go away,
You're not
they
paying
really
attention.
punish you. I'm surprised she hasn't put a mouse in your shoe.
If she could find one, she would.
Don't give her any ideas.
Sure, the one thing we don't have is a mouse problem.
we remember that cat that they stole? I wish they'd.
Yes.
I wish the cat would stay there, because the
Oh,
other
no.
day he brought us a gopher. Except that what he did is he brought us the head and the butt, and
Oh,
then there was
man.
this kind of empty space in between that was just
Yep.
on the
Ew.
carpet,
Was it a
just
cat
blood
mouth
soaked.
sized?
Yeah, it was. It was like he like had a dinner on the carpet right there.
And he gave you the
Yeah.
leftovers.
And left the he didn't I'm sorry, I just don't eat the tail and the head. That's not for me, I'll leave that for you.
Oh, man.
And then he went back to the older people. It's like, come on.
Oh, Hamilton.
Hamilton, do something mean to them, please. Actually, for all I know, he is. I don't know.
It's a sign of love, though.
It is. No,
It
he
is.
thinks it's love. He does. He says, look, I left you the head.
Right.
Come on.
Not gonna go back to the other family.
Yeah.
Cute little girl.
The
I don't have anything
girl.
for them.
Yeah, the cute little girl. She doesn't
This
like
is
it.
going to be the plot of Equalizer 3. Like Denzel Washington's going to come to your neighborhood and solve this problem.
Oh. All right. Now, I'm trying to get your phone, not my phone, but your phone, working on my new Surface Go. And apparently I have it now on 1803. Is that right?
Hey, Joe, have you gotten this working on?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you do it?
I think I'm one of the few people who did.
Yeah, it's been problems.
So all I did was so this is what's interesting about this is I got it working on a device, a Windows 10 device that doesn't have an insider build and never has had one. So your phone is only supposed to work, we thought, with some variant of Windows 10 in the insider program. So I just took my HP Spectre running Windows 10 1803. I went to the store, I saw the app, I downloaded it onto the machine, and then it said, give me your phone number for your Android phone, put that in. And after a few tries, because at first it was saying, make sure you register with this account, and that was incorrect. So I switched Microsoft accounts, and it all synced. And so then I could see my last 25 photos from my phone on my Windows 10 PC.
I want
And that's
that.
all you can do with it right now.
So just
all
to
you
be
can do.
clear, when this thing first came out, I did try this on 1803, and it did not work. It literally
Okay, so it
said
does now.
you have to be
Yeah.
on Windows Insider Preview Build, whatever the number was, or newer. And so this has changed. They've updated
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the app at least once or twice. So I don't, explain it exactly.
Yeah, but then
it has changed.
I've had so many people say, I can't get it to work. How did you get it to work? And I can't tell if it's US only or what the magic is that made it work on mine that isn't allowing other people to see it. But
you should tell people that you hacked the registry and then you went into PowerShell and you have to use an elevated PowerShell. And
exactly.
And here's the 15-line command line.
Here's what I did.
Code.
And
I wrote it in R. You don't mind, do you? Yeah.
Right.
I wrote it in F sharp because it for some reason had to be functional programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, everybody who's lamenting that you can't get it, all you can do right now with your Android phone is see your last 25 photos. Like at some point, it's going to do more things, but right now it does not.
Okay.
I believe this is the app that's described as a beta preview.
So you have to download the app from the store first. Is that the key?
Onto your Windows 10 PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the first step.
And
the app
also,
is called
if you have an iPhone, I don't think it does anything.
Right.
If you're running it.
That's not my phone.
The iPhone will do nothing. That's true.
Right.
Is it called Your Phone?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Okay. Microsoft Phone Companion is not it.
Not that. I know, which is what you would think it is.
Something. Well, it's something earlier, right? So, they had kind of a loose collection of things they were doing before. They're trying to consolidate it into this one thing. And like Mary Jo said, it's very limited right now. 25 photos only. It doesn't do notifications. It doesn't do text messaging. Those things are coming.
Here's somebody who's watching Windows Weekly in India, Abe Venkatesh, who says, it is not US only. I got it to work.
Yay.
Yep. So some
maybe
people have
Microsoft is doing A/B testing.
They must be because I don't see it.
You don't even see the app.
Yes.
Nope.
It's hard to find. It's very hard to find the app.
I'm just searching for my phone.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you're,
you know what
not
to do
my phone, your phone.
Using a web browser.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Search for it that way.
Forget.
Then you can get you'll get a store link and it will open the store.
So I do Windows Your Phone app.
Yeah.
And I search for that.
Yeah, you can't use the search in the store.
Microsoft Phone Companion.
Yep. No, we'll scroll down. You'll find something that will help you get to it.
Articles.
It's a MicrosoftStore.com URL. You could also,
All right, let's try that.
I think I have a link to it in my article somewhere too. Yeah, I do. If you go to my article, I say you can download the MyPhone app from the store here.
Oh, okay. And where is your article? No, I'm just kidding.
It happens to be on allaboutmicrosoft.com.
Just kidding.
Have you heard of it?
Is it all about Microsoft?
It is.
Oh, okay.
I know. Not all about Android.
No.
Like
not
Jason
yet.
likes to say.
You write
see the article.
much.
It says
There it
quietly makes your phone available.
Quietly.
Yep.
Very quietly.
Now see, halfway in, users can download the MyPhone app.
Yeah. From the Microsoft Store.
Correct.
There's a link. Let's see what happens.
Like that.
Blank page, which should then open the store. Results. Oh, look, that's about the only way you can get it. By the way, 2.5 stars. And then I don't know what this is.
It doesn't really do anything yet except let you see your last 25
even see
days.
Now what?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you running Windows 10s?
No.
No.
I'm in some strange tablet mode. Okay, now it's working. Maybe.
Oh, somebody.
You own this app. It said I owned it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So
what a
are
shock.
you on the insider preview?
No, this is a Surface Go. The only thing I did to change anything was turn off S.
Yep. So you're
Can't
just
you tell
running
by
1803.
its dinky size.
You're just running
1803. Yeah, up to date 1803.
Yep.
Now, bezels on that thing could be a little bigger.
Yeah, it would be so cool if it were bezel-less because then you'd have a bigger screen in the same form factor.
I guess the bezels just aren't bothering me too much so far.
It wants to know which side you want it on. I know. They shouldn't be doing
Is
this.
that really what that means?
Yep.
I hate that picture.
This way or this way?
What's that called? Snap Assist or something?
Snap Assist. Yeah. Oh, it's doing it some more. Link phone. Just a moment.
You must be in. Why is it doing this?
Because I'm in tablet mode.
Oh,
should I go out of tablet mode? Maybe that.
That's why.
Make you more comfortable.
You could avoid the stupidity.
I stay in tablet mode because this is, if you hadn't noticed, a tablet. Okay, sorry. All right, so you type in your phone number. See, this is the thing I didn't do in the past, or what I did. All I got was, hey, here's the Microsoft launcher. But that's not what I'm going to get this time. I'm going to get something.
Yeah, it probably is actually, but let's see what happens.
I don't have to use the launcher, do I?
So it gives you that whole bundle of apps.
Oh, it says
right?
to see recent phones on your PC, you'll need to install an app on your phone. We'll text you a link to get started.
Oh, sorry, Leo. Yeah, you're not going to get the launcher. You're going to get something called Microsoft Apps.
Right.
And in the Microsoft Apps app, there's going to be a thing where you can link this to your computer.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
That's cool. All right. And it says we're going to send a text to your phone. You can close the window. Oh, and now... Oh, yeah,
so don't answer it there. You got to answer it on your phone.
Yeah, right. And now what's going on here? Please install the app we texted you and sign in. Okay, so it's just waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
it's waiting for you to install it on your phone now.
Okay. Well, I don't have my phone with me, so it's going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah. But anyway, you're on your way to getting it.
I'm well on my way. And the
You
only
are.
way you could find this, not by Google, not by Bing, not by a store search, but by Mary Jo Foley's article on allaboutmicrosoft.com. Everybody
Pretty sure
should
she's not the
run
only
there.
one that has it.
I'm not
Yes.
the only one.
Paul,
I'm not the only one.
I'm trying to
I
help.
mean, I'd like to give credit where it's due, of course.
I'm helping.
No, I actually saw this on NeoWin yesterday morning, and I'm like, oh, let me try this. And yeah,
Cool. Yeah, because it isn't, you saw me jump through hoops trying to find
I
it.
know. Yeah.
And there's the Microsoft Apps thing has been around for a while. You've been able to connect your phone to Windows 10 since
Right.
1709.
It happens
maybe,
when
or
you
maybe
install Windows as you set it up.
Yeah, and actually, in 1809, I don't know why I can't say these numbers are hard for me. There's a lot more of that in setup for doing this kind of cross-device integration. So it's going to be even more of a push in this next release.
Well, this app is going to sit on my screen forever now, right? Just saying,
Yeah.
come on, I'm waiting. What you doing? Why haven't you installed it yet? Please install the app, please. Oh, so I shouldn't have done that without my phone in hand. Live and learn.
You can close it.
What happens if you set it to an iPhone? Nothing?
Well,
Nothing.
Actually, I
yet.
got a link. Let me click it and see what happens.
Oh, wait.
if you send it,
Doesn't it let
you'll
you do pages? Like you can pick up where you left off with browsing, or not yet?
There is an app in the iPhone store.
I could answer this question.
Please.
Can you?
It will give you it will give you a link to Microsoft Edge.
Oh, no. Bad phone. That's exactly what you don't want. And then I can really confuse things by pressing this continue on PC button, and it will just go over to the PC, and
That's all
we'll be
you
in a
got.
loop. We'll be in a loop. Oh, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Oh, I see. It's a screen. I'm tapping the screenshot. Come on, screenshot.
I don't know if you know how screenshots work.
It's powerful. It's continuous. It's organized on the go. Wow, it must know my Audible likes. Okay, all right, personalized. Oh, yeah, it says personalized. Microsoft Edge. I don't want it. I do use it's funny. You know what's funny, though? I actually like it on my my Google Pixel 2. I use it on my Android. Yeah.
Yeah, I like quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't use it on my iPhone, but because the way iPhone works, you can't make it a default browser. Only Safari is the default browser, so you have to open it.
Leo, what is the Half-Life looking icon you have in your taskbar?
Oh, it does look like Half-Life, doesn't it? That's Dr.
I know it's not Half-Life.
That's Dr. Racket. Everybody's favorite doctor. Dr. Racket. Dr. Racket. Hey, don't knock the racket. That you're talking about that, right?
Yeah.
That's a lambda.
Yep.
And
Cool, right,
widely used in mathematics, in algebra, but
that
also
the name of the company in
yes,
the original.
But functional programming lambdas are nameless functions.
I see.
Yeah, and so that's kind of often used as it's in this case it's the logo for an IDE for the Racket language, Dr. Racket it's called. And this is where I wrote my world famous snake game.
Wow.
and more recently my Sudoku solver. So there you go. No, it's the language I'm studying. I'm learning. There it is. So that's all it is. I know you really didn't want all that information, but you're now getting it. Here, I'll show you my Space Invaders game. It's really, really fun. Really, really fun. Actually, a reason I have this on here is because I was curious. This is one way I can kind of gauge how fast or slow a computer is, how fast it compiles it, and then how fast it runs the game.
Did this have to work overnight?
No, it just finished. It's not too bad. It is noticeably slower, yeah. Absolutely noticeably slower. But still, it's doable. It's I'm sure, Mary Jo, you feel the same way. You understand it's going to be a little slow.
Yeah.
But you just
right.
You kind of live with it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I just, I was saying to Paul today, like the HP MVX2, which was the ARM-based thing, like the problem with that was the browser was so slow. I was just like, I give up.
That was hard to use. Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, this is slow, but not.
It's slow, but yeah, you can be like, okay, I can, like, do I need it in like, less than a second, or can I wait 2 seconds?
Right.
Okay.
So this is, I don't know, this is a 5 or 6. It's not a huge program. It's a 500 or 600 line program. It compiles.
You have line drawings inside of the comments of the source code?
Yeah, it's hard to explain.
That's amazing. That's cool.
Well, there's a reason. This is a program design philosophy called How to Design Programs, which is awesome. It really is good for an old man like me because it essentially, the design helps you make the complexity handleable. And because I'm older, I can't actually, even when I was younger, I really couldn't keep all those balls. When you're programming, you're juggling a lot of balls. I couldn't really do it. So this has made it so that you everything's broken down into small bits. You have a standard methodology you go through. And then here's my little Space Invaders game. I'm shooting missiles at these incoming Space Invaders. So, hey, I got a 98 in this class. Don't knock it.
I think that's great.
It's a nice hobby for an older person.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think
do
it's
that
cute.
and-
It's like he's gardening.
It is. I do that and cruel. Yeah, VS Code runs on it. You have to turn off S mode, but that's fine.
Yep.
In fact, that's my closure. I usually use Emacs, but on Windows, Emacs is kind of not a great environment, so I use VS Code with a closure plugin. For closure.
You see my awesome Emacs joke on Instagram?
Oh, I did. I did. What was that?
It's the Emmaus Aquatics Center, which is a pool you can join for the summer. So their brand or logo or whatever says EMAC.
Yeah.
It's like Emmaus Aquatics Center.
And then it has a swimmer that looks like an S.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Emacs.
I said, I'm more of a Vim guy.
I thought I got that, Paul.
I know.
I
did that knowing only a small percentage of people would even understand it.
I got the joke, and I enjoyed it considerably. Is VS Code, I can't remember, is that an Electron app?
Yes, it is.
So that would be a good test of how usable this is. I don't think I put VS Code on here, so I will.
Is the version of Windows 10 that comes on that thing 32-bit or 64-bit?
Oh, that's a good question.
Let's find out.
Let's find out. I'm doing
Just
Windows
key
key
plus
X,
Yep.
and I'm doing system. Oops.
You know your way around the system.
Hey, I know. Hey, ever since I started working with this Paul and Mary Jo folks, I've learned quite a bit.
Quite a day when the kids go off on their own.
I know. 64-bit, baby.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
It's
Nice.
X64 based processor. Yeah, and it's Windows 10 Home when you turn S off.
Yeah.
1803, installed August 3rd. 17134.228. Nothing more to say here. All right. I think we should take a break because this has been so much fun, and I'm exhausted now. We're going to get back to the cats in just a moment. And when I say cats, I mean the cool cats. Paul Thurrott, Thurrott.com, Mary Jo Foley of AllAboutMicrosoft.com, Sriracha, and what's your cat's name, Paul?
Pain in the... No, we have
Peter.
two cats. This one is Dasher. It's
Dasher
Dasher.
and Dancer. Oh, that's cute. That's cute.
Guess when we got them?
Christmas?
Guess who named them?
Oh, your daughter.
You.
Jeffy.
He's a
to
very
say-
sentimental fellow.
I put up with it.
No, Dasher and Dancer's cute. Could be Donner and Blitzen. That'd be fun. Prancer,
I think these might be
Dancer.
the last cats.
How about Prancer and Dancer? It is. That's when you know you're finally an adult, when the kids leave home and the dog dies.
Yeah.
I know. Isn't that sad? I thought that. I was thinking that last night, thinking about my poor little doggy and how much I missed him. And I was thinking, yeah, I guess, I used to hear that and laugh when I heard that joke. Now that it's true, it just makes me feel old.
I mean, I'm relying on this dog dying quickly. I don't.
Paul is not a sentimental fellow. Oh, you are so funny.
This is the size of a deer. It's an enormous animal. Like when we came home, we had left it in a
crate. What do you mean? Left it
like,
in what? What?
In a place for dogs. What do you call that? Like a
kennel.
Oh, a kennel.
Really?
And
You kenneled
3
it for that long? Wow.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
That's a
right?
long time.
Oh.
Was very happy to see us, but you know what? The dog had gone gray a little bit since we were gone, and I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Paul, you're horrible.
He's finally getting old. Paul is horrible.
You are.
You're just now learning this?
I guess I'm just realizing it now.
I only got talked into getting this animal because she was 7 years old, and they don't live that long.
They don't live that long. So that
Uh-oh,
means
look
like
at
a couple,
this.
3 years.
Look at this, you guys, before you go.
Yeah.
Vishnu Nath, who's the head of program management for Your Phone, just tweeted, "Folks on 1803, we are not quite ready for you yet.
Oh, so just because you can get it.
Once we are."
Oh.
So
hopefully they don't
you
take
kinda
it away.
Stuck in under the flare.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think he was listening to this show and said, "Oh crap."
Well, I went onto Twitter and a bunch of people were asking about this. Like some people were saying they can't even get it in the store, even with the URL anymore. And so it's possible. You had that problem the first time you did it. I wonder if you snuck in right before they removed it. I don't know.
Well, it's Bon Me time at the beautiful Twit Eastside Studios, so I'm going to do this quick. LastPass, get it. You know you need it. Get it. And if you're a business and you don't have it yet, get it. Is that enough? Oh, all right. I'll explain. LastPass is the password vault. It's the one I use. In fact, I've been using it. They just celebrated their 10th anniversary this past month. Isn't that cool? 10 years old. I think I started using it around about then. I've been using password vaults for some time, but when LastPass came out, it was so much better than anything I'd used. It was like a no-brainer. And then Steve Gibson, because I'd been, telling him, "Oh, you got to try this," and he understands the need for a password vault. I'll tell you what it does exactly in a minute. But he interviewed the founder, Joe Segrist. Joe very kindly let him look at all the code. Steve said, "Oh, this is absolutely awesome," and he started using it. He still uses it. So what is a password vault? Well, it's what you'd think. It's a safe place to put your passwords. These days we have so many passwords. Websites, applications, logins for your bank, everything. And these things, sometimes it's not, doesn't need to be super secure, right? But if it's your bank or your Amazon or your credit card, well, man, you want to keep that private. And you know where it really becomes an issue? In business. We really discovered this. We have servers, we have bank accounts, we have our accounting is online at QuickBooks and all of that stuff. And that means we have to give those passwords to employees. That has a couple of problems. One, I can't ensure that they're going to keep it secure. And two, if they leave, they take them with them. Three, there are employees who have trouble remembering passwords. I'll never forget our engineering manager who put up a public web page with all the passwords to all the servers because he couldn't remember them. That's when we got LastPass Enterprise. You are back in control of all the passwords you use in your business. There's over 100 different policies you can set. You can access security reports. What we do is we create shared folders for different responsibilities. So this is the engineering team. This is the accounting team, that kind of thing. And the passwords are shared with varying permissions to each of these. So for instance, I can share the QuickBooks password with our bookkeeper, but she doesn't have actual access to the password. She can't change it. She can't even see it. She can only use it to log in. It's that kind of Real security that's great. We one of the policies is multi-factor. We require multi-factor authentication. LastPass has its own authenticator app, and with that, a verification button, this is actually the best way and the easiest way to do it, pops up on the employee's phone. So they don't have to enter the 6-digit code or anything. They get a pop-up, kind of like Microsoft Authenticator. They get a pop-up. So they're going to Cherie's logging into QuickBooks. First time she uses it, she uses LastPass. It puts in the password, but then she takes out her phone, and it gets a notification that says, did you just try to log in? She says yes, and she's in. Even if credentials then get compromised, there's a phishing attacks are a big problem in business, or malware, no problem, because you also have to have the app. Things like that. LastPass is awesome. The other thing I really love is, and this is for home or office, the password generator. Because it's so tempting to reuse passwords or make passwords that are, quote, easy to remember, which means they're easy to brute force, easy to guess. So we use the LastPass. I always use the LastPass generator to create unique random passwords. No one has to remember them. No one has to write them down. They go right into the vault. Really, all you have to remember is the one password for your vault, and you're set. The last password you'll ever need to remember. You can actually use Microsoft Active Directory credentials, too. So if you're using AD, your Active Directory password will get you into LastPass. So you don't even have to remember another password. Data, of course, is encrypted and decrypted at the device level. This is important. It is a encrypted ball everywhere else, including on the LastPass servers. No one, even LastPass, can't look at your passwords. Only you can. It's all secret. Easy onboarding. Password autofill, which is fantastic. No more typing passwords. That's another reason people use bad passwords, so they're easy to type. I use passwords 27, 28, 30, 40 character passwords. Don't have to worry about it because it's going to all be auto-filled by LastPass. So LastPass has different levels for different use. Personal use, it's LastPass Premium. LastPass Families, if you want to get a whole family involved, that's really handy because you can also share passwords with a shared folder for the family, a family folder. Put passwords in there. LastPass Teams, if you have a small business, 50 or fewer, and what we use, LastPass Enterprise. I'll tell you what, if you have a business, the crown jewels are your passwords. Don't let them just be floating around. Use LastPass. More than 13 million people trust LastPass. It is the #1 most preferred password manager. It's the one I use and recommend. It's the one you should be using. Go to lastpass.com/twit and find out more today. lastpass.com/twit. Okay, Paul. Okay, Mary Jo. Let's talk about the thing you've been waiting to talk about. The big Cortana Echo integration.
This is going to be a hard story to talk about without triggering everybody's
Don't
devices.
say
right?
the hey word.
I know.
And don't
Or
say
the
the
C
A word. If you just say the C word, will she pop up?
No one would even notice. No, you have to say hey.
Yeah. So here's, by the way, we deal with this a lot. We actually had an editorial meeting to come up with standards and practices.
Yep.
So what we were doing is blooping them. Beep, which was really annoying. Okay. So I said, look, guys, we can't keep doing that. Then for a while they were reversing them. So that's not good either. It sounds like Satan has inhabited your body.
Yeah, it kind of does.
So what we're doing now is cutting out the keyword. So we say, hey.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But don't do it.
No.
Okay. But
Don't do
I'll
the
just try to
part.
avoid saying
and
the
if you say echo instead of a word, you'll probably be all right, right?
Okay.
And I think you could say Cortana without, it doesn't seem to trigger anything on my side when I say Cortana. You have to
mine
say.
is triggering it on mine.
It is?
Now.
Mine no
on the
longer
Harman
works,
Kardon.
so I can't even test this thing.
Oh, on the Harman Kardon. Oh, maybe
Yeah,
they
on the
maybe they
Harman
thought they'd make it easy.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Okay, so let's try to do it. So
Cat.
today, August 15th, Microsoft and Amazon
day
finally delivered
that will
on
live
something
in
they
infamy.
talked about. They're talking about integrating their respective personal digital assistants so that on an Echo, you can open C, and on a Windows 10 device, you can open A.
Oh.
How's that?
Is it in now? Can I just do it?
It's rolling out starting today to people
Do you have
in
an
the
input?
U.S. only.
Okay,
can
she's
try
not
it.
responding to me at all, so.
Yeah.
Just like Paul.
No, mine responds. It says, there's a problem. Try again later.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's not rolling out to everybody immediately. It's kind of a staged rollout. So if you want to do it, which device are you going to use? Are you going to use a PC or an Echo?
I could do both. I have both here.
Okay. So if you have an Echo, you say A, open C.
Sorry. Echo. Nobody's listening to me now. Echo.
Do you have to say A?
She's not responding at all. Oh, she
all?
responded to
Wow.
computer. Somebody's messed with my Echo.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present the future.
The future
Yeah.
is...
I know.
I mean,
Cancel. So what do I say? Okay, I say open C word.
You say A, open C.
Computer. Open
Oh, on the
Cortana.
Sorry. No, on the computer you say,
Here's
hey C,
Cortana
open
from
A.
the productivity category. Sorry, I'm having trouble accessing your Cortana skill right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I said, because when I said computer, I was talking to my Echo. I changed the keyword.
Oh, got it.
But which is a bad keyword because I say the word computer a lot.
A lot.
Computer, open Cortana. This is what happened.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Computer, open Cortana.
To speak with Cortana, you'll need to link your Microsoft account and give access to your device address in the Cortana skills page. I've sent some info to the Alexa app to help you get started. Then come back and ask me to open Cortana.
Jeez, that's a lot of information. It's like when you're flying and the guy keeps talking, and you're like,
I
"Did
know.
you shut up and fly the damn plane?" Like, why are you providing so much information?
I know.
Well,
You've got to link your two devices.
okay, so there's a little setup involved.
Right. So anyway, the thinking here from the beginning was, so this is what they both said, the two vendors. They were like, you know what? There's some things that A is better at. There's some things C is better at. A is better at things like shopping. C is better at things like productivity skills. So wouldn't it be great if you have one of these two devices, if you could use the right assistant for the right thing? I don't know, guys. I think this is complicated.
No,
I'm not sure
there's
this
no
is gonna
question
work.
about it. This is they're going to move to a point where maybe it makes sense. But this is a great example of technology is supposed to make life easier. It's not for us to do all the work. You know, if I have to think, okay, well, Cortana is better at productivity. So if I want to ask about my calendar, what I should do is say, hey, use Cortana to blah, blah, blah. What? Like, why?
Yeah.
That's too much to ask of people.
Yeah, it is. And I also kind of question the value proposition if you're somebody who is using an Echo, because as we know, Amazon has something they're building out called A for Business, which is going to do a lot of the things that C does. So why do you need C?
You won't. Yeah, after a while, this will become the least of the 12 million skills or whatever they're called on this side of the fence.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is why Microsoft, because of their position in the market, it kind of behooves them to do this integration. And of course, we're open to everyone company these days anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, the end game for Amazon very clearly is that this is no longer going to be required. And this, in many ways, is the way like Apple works. We'll use you because we have to. We are actively working to get rid of you.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why Microsoft signed this deal originally. If you look at how many skills C has right now, 250, just over 250. How many skills does A have? 40,000 plus.
Yeah.
So,
my cat has more skills than Cortana. By the way.
I get it. I get the thinking. I understand why they decided to do it. And I also understand, I think, why it took so long. I mean, we saw this demoed at Build, and it was pretty rough still, right? Even then, which was May, it was still kind of janky how the whole thing worked, and is it going to really do anything that anybody wants? So they're going forward with it looks like. And today is the start of the public preview. So up until now, it's been available to people who work at Microsoft and Amazon privately who've been testing it, and a few also a few Amazon external customers. I'm not sure if there were any Microsoft external customers testing this, but now is when we all get to test it if we want to.
I don't know.
Your cat. She wants to say something to one of the devices.
It'd be cute if you named your cat Cortana.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You know, she's actually, it looks like she's like kissing you and stuff.
It does.
That's not true. She's just rubbing her scent glands on your chin.
She's going to bite you any second.
She wants to mark you for later consumption.
That's right. That's all that I know. If she could speak, the first words out of her mouth would be, "You will fall asleep eventually, fat boy. And when you do, you're mine."
You're mine. Yeah, it seems so cute when they do it, doesn't it? Yeah.
This is the part I'm going to eat first.
Okay. So I'll set up my C word, A word. That sounds filthy. I'm not going to. Yeah, I'll set up my Echo and Cortana. We need a better pseudonym.
We do.
For
we just need a different word that begins with the same letter, maybe.
Yeah, because sometimes we call Siri Shlomo. That, you know what? Never triggers it.
I would call her Sully or maybe Skippy.
Skippy's good, but Skippy might actually trigger her. She's very sensitive.
I say seriously.
Yeah, every time I say seriously. Every time.
Yep.
Every time. Google may be adding. This is an interesting story, and I thought, what? So you can currently buy a Chromebook. A good example is the Samsung Chromebook, which is also sold as a Windows notebook.
Right.
And there are a number of these. I think the HP NVX2, don't they also sell it as basically a Chromebook? I think they do.
Well,
they do.
It's not actually the same computer, but yeah, there is a version of it that's a Chromebook. Yeah.
Now you don't have to choose.
Well, not now, but rumored, Google's been working to... I have cat hair in my eyes now. So
I know.
Google is rumored to be bringing Windows 10 compatibility to the Pixelbook and then to the Chrome, to higher end Chromebooks. Thing is, this doesn't make any sense, and I'm trying to figure out why on earth they would do this, right? And people always point to Boot Camp on Mac, and they say, "Well, Apple does it. Why wouldn't they do this?" And my response to that is that has nothing to do with why Google would want to do this. When Google added Boot Camp to Mac, the Mac was in distress. It didn't have any apps. Its customers were asking for it. Apple makes money selling hardware. They do it today with the iPhone. They did it before with the iPod. They did it with the Mac. That their model is the hardware sale. If you want to put Windows on that thing and create a Franken Mac, you can do that. That's not Google's model. In fact, Google's model kind of relies on you accessing their software and services in as many places as possible. So they want you to run Android. They want you to run Chrome OS. They don't care where you do it. They're not making any money selling you a Pixelbook. So I'm curious, and I'm curious what you guys think about this. I don't understand. It can't. I'll just throw some of the obvious things at people. The Boot Camp thing was one. The second one is for developers, and this is maybe plausible, but I feel like the Linux app compatibility solves that problem for most of the people who would be in that sphere, as a developer. Either you're going to be like a kind of a web type developer or an Android app developer. Android Studio, sure runs on Linux. I assume it runs on Linux. It must. So why? Why do you guys think? I really don't know why. Google has never confirmed that they're doing this publicly. They've never stated why. Why are they doing this?
No one knows.
It could just be to screw with Microsoft.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Okay. That answer makes more sense than anything, actually. No, that's a good answer. Because Google does a lot of things just to screw with Microsoft.
Right. So originally this is just going to be Pixelbook, but then the implication is it could be any Chromebook that meets the hardware requirements. And if you think about it, a lot of people who look at Chromebooks, they're like, yeah, but I have this one Windows app that I really need to run. But if I could, I would totally use this hardware. What if you take that restriction away?
All right, let me give you something I've made up. This is just I was thinking through this, and it kind of speaks to what you just said. I'm curious about the viability of this. I wonder if there isn't something to dual booting is kind of a lousy thing for a normal human being to do, right? if you're dual booting between two versions of an operating system or two different operating systems, you're spending a lot of time not working. You're moving back and forth. And it's like the Alexa Cortana thing. Which one do I have to use for this? I got to think about that. What if there was some way for Chrome OS to run Windows apps, but it required Windows to be installed on the hardware? Right? Is there any technical feasibility to what I just said?
So, like through a virtual machine somehow, or how?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But in other words, obviously there are these wine type solutions you have in Linux for running Windows apps in that environment. But what if, because Chrome OS is a lightweight operating system, what if just having Windows on the system somehow enabled apps to run it under Chrome OS? Because that would make more sense. It solves the problem. In other words, I need that one app, whatever it might be, Photoshop, or just make something up.
So maybe like through emulation more is what you're kind of hinting
I don't know.
at,
I don't know. But is there some advantage to having Windows installed on that system where side by side you could kind of run it? Virtual environments in the Mac do this. You can install Windows 10 to Boot Camp and go into Parallels on Mac OS and load that thing virtually. Now it takes up memory and disk space, obviously, but I don't know.
I know because I saw people in the original stories from xdadevelopers.com, and I saw some people in the comments saying, "I bet it's not dual boot. I bet it's going to run in some other way, right?"
So someone else has thought of this too. Good.
So somebody else was thinking this too. And then if you look at their original story about this before this most recent update they did, the original story was more that Alt OS would let different operating systems run on Chromebooks, not just Windows, but other operating systems. So, so I guess the thinking there might have been Linux. I don't know.
It could be as simple as a virtual machine. I don't know. You've got Windows loaded in the background, and it's just sitting there to run that one or two apps that you kind of need. Maybe.
I agree.
That would
dual
help
booting.
Get people over to
dual
OS,
booting
right?
is like no, right? Like that's just such a big no.
Silly. Silly.
Yeah.
That's not a mainstream consumer activity.
No.
That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, dual booting might not have been the way they should have described it. Maybe they just used that because that was a way of describing it.
Did Google describe it or XDA developers?
XDA developers.
This is just a rumor, we should point out. Google hasn't said this, right? Right. So we don't know how Google's going to describe it. Here's one scenario. Maybe Google has no intention of doing this, but place the story just to kind of solidify the notion that a Chromebook is a real computer. It could run Windows if it wanted to. Of course, you wouldn't want to.
Someone, I can't remember who told me this, but someone said, there's probably a Google engineer that needs to run Windows, and he's like, look, I want to use Google hardware. Let's just enable this. This you can make this minor change to the firmware or something, and it works. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, somebody in the comments did say, until you could run Windows on a MacBook, it wasn't really obvious that maybe the MacBook is the best Windows computer, right? That whole line of thinking. Right?
That nonsense lie that the Mac is the best Windows computer.
Walt Mossberg said it.
There you go. I said nonsense and lie. And then you
the best Windows machine I've ever used is a MacBook.
That is the most idiotic statement that's ever been uttered in the history of personal technology.
All the time.
They say it like it's a fact. It is the most compromised way to run Windows on hardware. It is this people who say that don't do it. It's not true.
Yeah. But that could be, the thinking here is what if we could get people to say, Pixelbook is the best hardware, even for Windows, right? So same
Pixelbook
kind
beautiful.
Of self-perpetuating myth, right?
It's a Core i5 of some kind. It's actually a Core i7 version if you want it. It's got lots of RAM, lots of storage. Chrome OS is a very lightweight operating system. I suspect that the additional specs that are available there would be helpful for running Android apps on top of Chrome, for sure. But, in the Windows world, that's nothing special for Windows, right? Windows is a much bigger, heavier system. I don't know. I like the Pixelbook. If you could run Windows on it, that's fine. I'm not against it or anything like that. But
it has an i5. It's 8 or 16 gigs of RAM.
Yep.
The real problem with all
It's-
Chromebooks is the light storage
Yeah.
because they're really cloud.
But I think this one
devices.
it's 128, right? I think that's the basic
Yeah,
package.
that's
128.
enough, right? Yeah,
That's a lot for a Chromebook. Yeah.
but it's not a lot for Windows.
No.
It's okay for Windows. You could run Windows on it. It's not like
Well, I mean, that machine right now is on sale, right? So it's normally $999. Right now it's $750. The Surface laptop is also on sale for $799, so it's a little bit more. But
yeah, maybe this is Google just wants to sell more hardware, just like Apple, right?
yeah, they certainly have that. You know, they have that thing that Microsoft had. There's an Apple envy going on at Google right now that's very familiar to me and to anyone who follows Microsoft.
Yep.
And you see, it's funny. You see it in lots of places. The hardware thing is an obvious example. You can make all the same excuses for why they're doing it, just like why would Microsoft do it? Same reasons. But I was browsing around. Actually, maybe it's still up. I was browsing around. It's a different thing. One of the Google websites today, and the way that they were kind of promoting whatever it was, Android 9 or something. It looked like an app. It was like an Apple way of, just Apple look and feel, They really do. They want to be Apple very badly.
Yeah. And with the Pixel 3 launch coming up, right? Supposedly early October. This would be an interesting time for them to announce this if it is a thing they want to announce.
I can't. I'm
It seems
with
weird
you
to me,
guys. It
too.
doesn't. There's no economic reason.
Well, I
for
saw
this.
so many stories about this, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this makes total sense." And I'm like, "Why?"
No.
I don't know.
I know.
I mean,
I
how does this make
wrote about it, but I was just like, you never know these days about people doing crazy things.
Yeah,
I-
and Google's
the thing
known
Mary
to
Jo
do
said-
crazy things. I mean,
Well, and Google's also, and Amazon does this to some degree as well now, especially in the enterprise stuff. Just because Microsoft's doing it, Google will do it. Google came of age in it at the time when Microsoft was to be feared. It's amazing to me that they still basically handle Microsoft the same exact way they always have. And I don't know if it's because of the founders or, I'm not sure what it is, but they treat Microsoft as if anything that they do could, Microsoft could turn around and screw it up for them. And I don't think anything could be further from the truth, not just because Microsoft couldn't do it, but because the Microsoft of today is so touchy-feely. I mean, all they want to do is be buddies with everyone.
Yeah.
It would just never happen. There's nothing to fear from Microsoft.
yeah,
But my God, do they act like there is, and it's very strange.
yeah. Well, it's an interesting story. We've got good 10 minutes out of it. That's what really matters to me.
You know
Oh,
what?
boy.
Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, as we always say around here. And you just never know I just feel like you just never know what a company is going to do right now in terms of trying to establish like mind share or positioning. They could do it somehow.
But really, you sell Chromebooks in opposition to Windows. That
You should.
Here's something simpler, safer, doesn't do as much, but for people who only need to use a browser, it's a really great way. And I think we all agree it is a really great way to compute.
Yeah.
If you can live with the limitations. So
I think a lot
XDA
of people
developers
can.
said that all XDA developers said is that they're courting Microsoft hardware certification for the Pixelbook.
Right.
You understand that if Google went to Microsoft today and said, we would like to certify the Pixelbook for Windows 10, the answer would be yes, and the conversation would end. There's no one at Microsoft. There is no thing that would prevent this from happening, unless, of course, it couldn't run Windows 10, I guess. But assuming it's just a normal PC architecture, which I assume it is.
It is. It'll run Linux.
Yeah.
You can take,
Yeah.
if you turn off secure boot, it'll run anything. It's a PC. The Pixelbook is. Now, there are a lot of ARM Chromebooks. That would be another matter entirely, but they're
Right.
and maybe this part of this comes from this Git fork that is Alt OS mode and this Git branch.
Yep.
And
I just don't think dual booting is the answer. There are there are no exceptions. Even as a developer, if you, especially like a Google employee, and you're going to use a Pixelbook, you're running Chrome OS, but you need to run IntelliJ, whatever the Android Studio, whatever it is. It's a Linux app. It's going to run Linux apps, or it already does. I'm not even sure what the deal is there, but
It does.
That works. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
You don't strip out Chrome OS and put Linux on it. You don't dual boot. You run the app on the thing, and that's what you do.
Would they require certification if they did want to make it possible to see? I think there is one use case, which is what we just described, which is if you don't need anything more than the browser, you can use a Chromebook. But what if there's like one line of business app you need, or one Windows app you can't live without?
Yeah,
if you could just run that one app, that would be interesting.
Right. I know.
Or
one education app.
Right. Or education. Education.
You understand how insane this is, right? What we're suggesting is that Google's going to solve the problem I've been complaining about with Windows 10s ever since it was first announced. All I want to do is run that one app. Microsoft could do that easily, and they won't. But Google's going to do this somehow. I don't even. Look. Mac OS and running Windows either in Boot Camp or in virtualization, whatever it is. Virtualization was something that worked on the Mac back when they were on PowerPC. It was slow, but you could run Windows in a window or whatever and run apps. It was whatever. It worked. There are all kinds of different ways to do this, but just running Windows in a Chromebook doesn't require Microsoft to certify anything. What's the certification for? It's for selling it with Windows. I don't understand. You don't.
That's true. Well, would they have to pay Microsoft a licensing fee if Windows were on it, or is that up to the? Or are you assuming that's up to the user? Like, how does that work on a MacBook?
Well, you have to buy it.
It's up to the user.
Apple
right?
doesn't sell it.
You buy it.
You don't.
So there's a program you can run that. Well, there's two ways you could do it. You could, of course, run it in a VM, but the Apple-approved way is to run a program that it does come with all Macs called Boot Camp, and what it does is it partitions the drive, downloads the drivers for Windows from Apple, because Apple makes the hardware, so they make the drivers, puts it on a USB drive or a disk, and then then it says, okay, get your Windows install disk, kids. So you have to own that.
You have to buy it.
Yep.
I think the new version, they'll actually download it. Actually, they'll convert it. It's weird. Like you, as a Windows user, we download it from Microsoft. We create an install disk.
They'll do an ISO. You can install.
They make a different version of it. There's a custom thing they do, but it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It works.
For people who need it.
I have to think the list of people who need that is getting shorter and shorter.
Smaller. Absolutely, absolutely. There aren't.
But but the point is, like, you do something like that because you have to. So back in, I don't know, somewhere in the beginning of Mac. Well, actually, I don't know. Boot Camp was probably, I'm sure it debuted in Mac OS 10, but there was a need, and so that's why they did it. I'm just trying to wrap my head around is what is the need that Google has to make this happen? I don't think there are customers clamoring for this. And if there are, they're not enough of them because, it's like, hey, we love your hardware, but we want to run Windows on it. Like, congratulations.
We'll find out. There'll be some.
I'm really
I think
curious.
You're right. I think it may. If they're going, who knows? Remember, this is not Google announcing this.
Right.
No, it's a rumor. Yeah, for sure.
Well, but it's a little more than a rumor. I mean, the things that XDA is pointing to exist, but we don't know what the intent is, what they want to do with it, what they plan to. If it's a product, if it's for some guy on the Chrome team, we don't know what it's for.
Yeah,
but it's a good story. And as I said, now we got 20 minutes out of it. Good job. Snapdragon 850. Who in the house?
This is not pretty. I don't know if you guys. I just during the course of the show was creating a restore disk on the Windows 10 on ARM PC, the NV. It took 2.5 hours to create this disk. This doesn't do anything quickly, And this is one of the two major problems with this platform today. The Snapdragon 835 running Windows 10 on ARM. The other one is app compatibility, but the big one I think is performance. So. Qualcomm is branching out. They're making special versions of the chipsets for different markets. They have chips they're making for PCs, chips they're making for IoT devices, chips they're making for wearables, and probably some others I don't know about. The first one that's coming out for the PC is called the 850. It's based on the Snapdragon 845, which is now shipping in flagship smartphones and tablets. And the promise was that this thing was going to be 30% faster than the 835 running Windows 10 across the board. 835 30% general performance, 30% graphics. And then better battery life, I think better LTE speeds, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, the first Geekbench benchmark has occurred. Someone tested one of these prototype machines running the 850, and it's not good. So single core test, it was about 25% faster than the 835. And on the multi-core, it was about 7.3% faster. And that's less than 30, I think. I'm not strong in the math department, but that's not what they promised. Maybe there'll be more and they'll do better, but I had high hopes that the 850 especially would at least partially solve this problem. And, when we talk about things like the Surface Go, and we look forward to the next generation of those devices, one of the big conversations is, maybe they're going to switch to ARM because then you at least get the battery life back to some degree. But this kind of performance, what's 0 times 30%? It's like, it's not very fast. So even like best case scenario, 30%, this thing needs this thing needs like a 200% performance improvement is what it needs. So we'll see. It's the first one I'm aware of. Maybe it's not representative. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a sad thing because we were talking earlier about the NVX2, and I was saying, I really like the machine. I love the battery life on that ARM-based thing, but man, the browser on that thing,
Can't do anything quickly. I brought it up today. I upgraded to the latest cumulative update and the other stuff that needed. I updated all the apps. 2 hours went by. I did the, like I said, a recovery disk because I want to have the Windows 10s image because I am going to absolutely blow this thing away. But, it's slow. Yeah. It's just.
How far has it gone now? Because you've been running it for hours, right?
It finished. Yeah, 2.5 hours.
It finished. Okay.
It finished. It finished while we record, just maybe in the last 20 minutes.
I have to say my Excel seems a little neglected since I got the Go. It's just sitting there all alone in the corner.
That's what I want to compare. So I don't have a Surface Go for review yet. I did have Brad run a handbrake and coding test that I always run on a review laptop. So I'm going to run that on this thing, and I'll come back in a week when it's done. A modern quad-core, 8th generation, Core i5, whatever, usually does it in a little under an hour. Previous gen, dual-core, an hour 40, hour 40. I'm sorry. Yeah, an hour 20, hour 40, somewhere in there. I don't remember the exact figure on this, but I think it was 3.5 hours or something. It was some just horrific. Not this one on the Go. It was horrifically slow. Yeah. Really slow.
I don't know. The Go. When I look at how Edge worked on the Go versus on the Envy, it's better on the Go with a Pentium processor. To me, it was faster.
Yeah.
That is just weird. It seems like that shouldn't be the case, Although my experience with the Envy before was, for whatever reason, like I thought Chrome ran okay. It was actually kind of better running Chrome. And it's emulating x86 to make that happen. It's crazy, but it worked.
And finally, before the back of the book, 1 year late, Microsoft fixes the Surface Pro pen issue. Is there an issue? What is the issue?
Apparently last May, and by last May I mean May 2017, there was some update that occurred. Maybe it was the spring, whatever they called it, the creators update, I don't remember. And the new Surface Pro, right, the 2017 version, which actually came out right around the same time. So maybe this has been the problem all along. There's like sporadic palm rejection, right? So sometimes it doesn't reject the palm like it's supposed to. And it's one of those things like you'll put your hand on the right, and sometimes it's perfectly fine, and sometimes it isn't. And of course, the people who noticed this are the people who use the pen a lot, so they were complaining to Microsoft. And the fear, because they never fixed it, was that what if this is an endemic hardware problem? And here we are, in the wake of the Surface Gate stuff, like, oh my God, is this happening again? So no, it took them a year, but it was a hard computer science problem, as it always is. And they released a software update, and apparently this fixes it. So they actually they fixed it in July 2018. Or yeah, I think it came out right at the end of the month. I just found out about it, but they did release an update, and it's fixed. So,
yay! Good. I never even noticed it. So yay! I'm glad it's fixed. Glad it's better. Now I'm going to notice it. All right, times, my friends, for the back of the book, the moment you've all been waiting for, where Paul and Mary Jo let their hair down and cats fall out. Starting. Can you hear? I got a good.
What's happening in the audience?
I got a little studio audience
I hear some rowdiness.
They're enjoying the show.
Is there drinking?
I think they got to the beer section of the show before you did. Maybe they're, so we have Lagunitas is right next door, and sometimes people just stumble in. Say, can I sit down here?
Sure. I'll tell you something. My computer science teacher told me when I was in high school, which is there's entirely too much levity in this room.
Yes, entirely too much levity in this room. Never.
And he left.
Never.
We opened that giant dictionary we used to have back then because I grew up in the 1980s. We flip. Looked up the word levity. We're like, yep, that describes it.
I thought you were going to say we opened it up and we'd hollowed it out and put a bottle of rye in there. So that just shows you where my mind is going.
No, we just kind of shut up and he left, and then we looked up the word because we had no idea what he was talking about.
What else is he saying? Why does that mean levity? Tip of the week, Mr. Paul Thurrott.
Yeah, so 2 tips. One is that a couple of months ago, Microsoft added a kind of a known folders feature to OneDrive for Business where you could automatically back up it's desktop, documents, and what's the other one? Pictures, probably. Folders to OneDrive, right? And the cool thing about that isn't just the obvious nature of backing that thing up, but you're kind of syncing it between your computers. So if you have some files on your desktop on your work computer and you go home and log into the same account, you're going to have them there too, and they sync kind of outside of the normal OneDrive world. It's kind of a cool feature. So they just added this to the consumer version of OneDrive as well. And you can do this now just as an individual. I believe it works with any supported version of Windows. So if you have Windows 7, 8X, Windows 10, whatever, you just need to, it will happen automatically. You'll get the latest version of OneDrive, and then you can do it. And you'll be prompted, but you can look for it now if you go into OneDrive settings. And I'll have to do this to see because it's so ponderous now, but oh boy. Here we go. It's just hard to bring up. It used to be so easy. Yeah, go to the autosave tab, and you'll see desktop documents and folders, pictures, desktop documents and pictures options. And so instead of this PC only, you can sync them to OneDrive. Take advantage of OneDrive's anti-ransomware protections and so forth. So it's good.
Oh, really? That protects you against ransomware. That's a nice feature.
Yeah, because think about it. Like if someone takes over your computer and you're like, pay us $1,000, we'll give you a computer back. You can say, no, they can just wipe it out instead because all this stuff's synced up to OneDrive. Doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about it. Nice.
That actually, that's handy. And of course, it counts against your OneDrive total. But
yeah, of course.
Most of us have a terabyte or more. Unlimited.
I literally I have enormous. I have 4 folders on my desktop. And nothing is happening. Okay. And they take up 67 gigabytes.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not going to be syncing those. The other tip is Xbox related. Mary Jo, you're welcome. We didn't have any Xbox news this week. Woo! Although Cuphead did just surpass 3 million players.
Wow.
I know. And I would like to take some credit for that myself.
Go, Cuphead, go.
Mary Jo Foley, Cuphead player.
It's ironic because it's about the hardest game I've ever played.
I know.
But
it had the coolest grgraphics. I love it.
I saw that and I thought, this is a game that Mary Jo will want to play. Then I played it and thought, she'll never be able to do this. I can't.
I can't play it. Yeah, it's hard.
From now through to August 18th, which is only 3 days away, when you buy any Xbox One, Xbox One S, or Xbox One X, or bundle, you get a free digital copy of Madden NFL 19, which is valued at $60 and is enhanced for Xbox One X if you have that system. If you're not a football fan or if you don't like the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is completely understandable, you could also choose from Call of Duty World War II, Far Cry 5, I don't know why that's so hard to say, or State of Decay 2.
Far Cry 5 or State of Decay 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just found a spelling mistake in my article, which I'm now fixing. And app pick of the week is Google Chrome. And this one's kind of a setback for me. You may recall when I was in Sweden, I was experimenting with other browsers. I used Edge a lot when I was there, actually. And the new version of Edge, the one that's coming in Redstone 5, is actually quite good. In fact, even though I can't myself use it, and it's always the same old reasons, you run into these little things, and I have very particular things I need to do for work that are just more difficult or impossible in this browser. I end up having to go crawling back to Chrome like the terrible person that I am. But I do feel like Edge is good enough for most people. And it's just, one of those things, normal people that get Windows 10, I think they could use it. So I think that's good news. But the one thing that I also did as part of this is I started using some of the native apps in Windows 10 instead of the web apps I had been using. So on a laptop, using something like my voice is doing the Mickey Mouse thing all on its own. On a laptop, using like the Mail app that's built into Windows 10 or the Calendar app or the Twitter app that's in the store, it's all fine. On this 4K 28-inch display I'm using, those apps are terrible. They don't scale well. They're inconsistent. There's all kinds of problems. And so I kind of found myself gravitating back to Chrome. And literally, 2 days ago, I finally just kind of gave up the ghost and went back to Chrome. But here's the good news. The latest version of Chrome 68, is getting native Windows 10 notification support. You may recall that at some point Google had said we're working toward that. We are going to get there. I'm actually not seeing it. According to someone from the team who was tweeting on Twitter, they said that approximately 50% of Chrome 68 users are seeing it now, and that will increase over time. So if you don't have it now, check back in a day or two. And what you'll see is that those kind of goofy little Chrome-style notifications will become, the native Windows 10 notifications, kind of black, translucent looking things. So that's cool.
Yeah, they give you, when you turn on notifications, a sample of what they'll look like.
Yeah, and it's like this little, it's a Chrome notification. It's fine. It works. It's in the same place as the Windows 10 ones, but it's not the same. So I keep restarting Chrome, hoping it will just kind of happen.
Give it to me. Give it to me, Chrome.
Someday soon.
Okie dokie. Well, that concludes your tip and your app of the week. Now I think it's time for Mary Jo Foley, because she's got an enterprise pick of the week.
I do. Yes. And my enterprise pick is BizTalk Server, which doesn't mean a lot to consumers listening to this podcast. But you know what? If you're a big enterprise, you know exactly what this thing is. This is Microsoft's Enterprise Integration Server. It has lots of connectors and adapters to connect different systems to BizTalk. So, this is something like big enterprises use. We were wondering if there was going to be another on-premises version of this, just like there are of Exchange and SharePoint and all. The answer is yes. There is going to be a BizTalk Server 2019 coming out next year. Microsoft said last week it'll be roughly 9 months after the general availability of Windows Server 2019, so that puts it in the latter half of next year. But the more interesting thing and the weirder thing in their blog post is they're also going to take what's basically the online version of BizTalk Server, the logic apps that are part of Azure Integration Services, and they're bringing them back on premises. This raises a lot of questions for me. Like, how are they bringing it back on premises? Is it going to run on Azure Stack? Is it going to run on just regular Windows Server? And the implication from the blog is it's not just logic apps. It's anything that falls under the heading of Azure Integration Services. So things like Event Hub also, and API management. So I've asked Microsoft, like, hey, are you bringing other Azure services back on-prem? And why are you doing this? And so far, nothing but crickets. So that's the enterprise pick.
And the code name of the week? It's kind of fitting.
Very fitting. The code name is Madrid. So in that story that we referenced earlier about in-private desktop security, this feature that may or may not make it into Redstone 5, this enterprise feature, when Bleeping Computer, who broke the story, wrote about it, they noted that there was a link back to the site where they found it, and it was Madrid. So I'm like, oh, the code name is Madrid. Well, interestingly, a lot of the security software that Microsoft has done for Windows has Spanish city code names. Barcelona was Windows Defender Application Guard. Seville was Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. So it seems like they're on a Spanish city kick for their enterprise software codenames, and Madrid is the latest in that family.
Isn't that interesting?
It is.
It's fascinating. From now on, when instead of saying I'm going to Barcelona, I'll just say I'm going to the
Windows Defender Application Guard.
Application Guard. And everybody will know, or WDAG.
They will know.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll know.
We're going to visit Seville, too, so I could go to WDATP instead. Yeah. Yeah.
Woo.
The cruise director is going to think I'm insane. I think I need a beer, Mary Jo. Beer me.
You too. I'm beering you. So I heard you guys are having a Vietnamese lunch today at Twit.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. I had a little banh mi sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah. So why not a Vietnamese-inspired beer pick?
Okay.
AleSmith in San Diego makes a beer called the Vietnamese Speedway Stout. So they make a lot of different Speedway Stouts. These are imperial stouts. This one is made by blending together 4 different really delicious Vietnamese coffee blends and then turning that into a stout.
I love Vietnamese coffee.
Oh, man. It's so smooth.
Does it taste like Vietnamese coffee?
It does. It tastes like Vietnamamese coffee.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
And the problem with it is, well, it may be a problem for some people. It's 12%. You're not going to be able to drink a lot of these, but the ones
Holy
you do
cow.
drink, enjoy.
That's kind of strong.
I know. I drink like a 4-ounce pour of this when I have it.
Yeah,
I'm like, a little goes a long way
Put it in an
on that one.
espresso cup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's good. If you ever see it, AleSmith Vietnamese Speedway Stout.
Nice. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And I am glad you all tried us. Windows Weekly.
Could we do 2 calendar
Yes,
things
you've got some stuff coming up here.
I know. We haven't had these for a while. So Ignite is coming up last week of September in Orlando, and we are going to do Windows Weekly live at the show on Tuesday, September 25th. Yep.
What time on Tuesday?
2 to 4. If we can
Eastern
switch.
time?
Yes, 2 to 4 Eastern.
So we'll be.
Good, okay.
I don't know if we can switch 2 to 4.
Oh no, wait. Or is it 2 to 4? Let's see. We have because we're going to be on the East Coast, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 to 4
If
Eastern.
we can.
So we have to switch with Mac Break Weekly.
If they'll let us.
I thought we already arranged this, did we? No?
Yeah, we talked about it, but I don't know if we.
Yeah, but have you
finalized.
spoken to the people who matter? I do
We
not.
have not, obviously.
I do not. Okay, we'll make it. No, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Okay.
We have
Good.
to. You've already booked the hall.
We're going to have a live audience. We get to use their podcasting studio. So if you're at Ignite and you want to come to the show and be live in the audience and ask questions and all, you
And
can.
if there is a level of levity like I'm hearing from over there today, I can tell you.
You know, that's 2 people. Imagine if we had
I know.
a dozen.
room of
What the
people.
what the
Australian,
room would
what's
sound
going on
like.
there, Leo?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Are we all set for this, Alex? Karsten says it's okay. We have to talk to the Mac Break Weekly folks.
Okay. Thanks.
And then Alex.
There is some deep animosity between the Windows Weekly team and the
I
Mac
can't
Break
imagine
Weekly
why
team.
there would be, but maybe there is. That's my first week back, too. That's my only concern is I'm going to not be around to make sure this. But Alex will shepherd this. But we do need to talk to your technical crew.
Yep.
You know how that works.
we
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
They're raring to talk to you guys.
Good. They're raring to talk to you. Oh.
Yeah.
Very few people say that about Alex.
Raring is a strong word, but
It
they
is
are
a strong
ready.
word.
We're raring to talk with Alex. Yes, we are. So that's September 25th, a little flip-flop. We'll do Mac Break Weekly on Wednesday and
Okay.
and Windows Weekly on Tuesday.
Yep.
What else?
October 17th, a Wednesday. Paul and I are going to be in Dublin. And
So jealous.
we are going to do Windows Weekly live from the Micro Warehouse Cloud Camp there.
Do they have beer in Ireland?
I don't think they do.
No beer. No, they don't do beer.
So actually, Mary Jo, this is going to be a big deal for you because the last time I was there, a couple summers ago, the craft beer thing has really exploded in Ireland.
Yeah.
And
I know.
I think you're going to be pretty
I'm
impressed.
dying to try some of them. Yeah, I've never tried I don't think any Irish craft beer. Of course, Guinness and the usuals, but yeah, Harp. But no. Yeah, so
No,
we're
there's
going to be there
whole craft
live.
beer thing. It's
Yeah. And they
That's
also are raring to talk to Alex to set this up, and
well, we'll do it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a live audience.
What time is that
Dublin.
going to be?
It's going to be your regular time
Normal
for
time.
Windows Week.
Okay, so an evening for you guys, though.
Yeah. Yep.
Little cat butt there.
Yeah.
Hello, kitty.
She heard about the
he's
cat.
scratching
The
them
cat
up.
butt coffee. Oh no, it was Vietnamese coffee.
Yeah, civet, though. It's not a cat. People often say cat butt, but a civet is only cat-like.
Is it like a guinea pig type animal? What are you talking about?
I think it's like a ferret. I don't know what it is, but I've had civet coffee.
Yeah, I have too. It's good.
It's very good. It's a small-bodied, lithe-bodied, mostly nocturnal mammal.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of
known
cat-like.
for its coffee-making prowess.
Well, it poops it out, is what happens.
Yeah.
It eats.
You don't want to know.
They eat the coffee beans, but then in its gut, the coffee acquires a certain je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
And then it's extracted from the civets.
This is one of those you don't want to know how the sausage is made.
don't.
type
Really,
things.
you don't know.
You really
Yeah,
do not.
yeah.
No.
It's kind of fox-like. It's like a fox.
Can we see this audience? They've been very disruptive. Who are these people?
Sean and Laura, they're locals. They're from
locals.
Yeah. Sean, is Keller Street named after your family?
I don't know, probably.
He says probably.
Oh, give it a rest over there, will you?
He's. Let's just put it this way: they're quite engaged.
They are. That's great.
They're quite engaged.
Glad they're enjoying it.
It sounds like there's about 20 people. Pardon me?
It does.
Input 8. They've given them a camera, but see, all you're going to see with Input 8 is their feet. Wave your feet. There they go. That's them. Sean, I think Sean must be your biggest fan.
Yeah.
It's so funny. He came in. He is so into the show. And Laura, too.
Wow.
A little less. A little less. Sean's really the...
I think they were already at
witnessed this before.
Lagunitas today.
But they're
people who
local,
show
and they
up
never
with the
came.
spouse.
Sean said, I've listened forever. I didn't know you were here.
Yeah, I never did.
You never knew.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Now we're never going to get rid of this guy. He's going to be here like every week.
Yeah. Every week, Sean, okay? We're counting on you. All right. No problem, he says. He'll bring the beer next time.
I think I will.
Oh, Lord. Oh, jeez.
What have you done?
This concludes this edition of Windows Weekly. We started on a high note. Paul's voice
Literally
to be specific, but we got it all worked out. Paul Thurrott is at thurrott.com, THURRO good.com. His books are at leanpub.com, and you can catch his work here every Wednesday around 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC. Mary Jo will be here too. She's from allaboutmicrosoft.com, her ZDNet blog, and together they form the Woodward and Bernstein of Microsoft reporting.
More like the Berenstein Bears of Microsoft.
The Berenstain
reporting.
Bears of Microsoft reporting. So come by, watch it live.twit.tv, or if you want to do as Sean and Laura did, you can just email tickets@twit.tv, and we'll put a special chair out for you.
Maybe a bag of chips. So what are the amenities here?
Amenities are excellent. We've got
Did they
fig
get
bars.
some Vietnamese food? What's going on?
Well, they could,
these
sure.
guys
We feed the staff, but once the staff is eaten, there's usually significant leftovers. But we have coffee, snacks, beverages of all kinds that you can partake in. Anytime you're here, just email tickets@twit.tv so we know you're coming and don't tase you on the way in. Didn't hurt, right?
Well,
Or maybe we'll know you're coming and we'll tase you on the way in because we know you're.
Might tase you on the way out. Can't promise that. Let's see what else. Oh, if you can't watch live, you can go to twit.tv/WW. That's the website where you can download copies of this show, audio and video, or subscribe in your favorite podcast application. And it will be delivered to you automatically when the show's ready and not a minute sooner. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mary Jo. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.